If you're waiting to feel happy before you actually believe your mental health is improving, you might miss the signs entirely because you're focusing on the wrong thing. Because healing rarely feels dramatic. It shows up in smaller, quieter ways that don't really get talked about and often don't get noticed. And even the small improvements are something you should feel happy about. This video isn't just for people working on their own mental health, though. It's also for anyone who loves someone who is. Because sometimes improvement is subtle, and knowing how to see it matters. I will tell you what change, what healing actually looks like. Most people tend to think that mental health improves in very obvious ways. You wake up happy, you feel motivated, and suddenly you've stopped struggling. But that's not how it happens. In reality, mental health often changes quietly. So quietly that people miss it. And then you assume that nothing is working. But that's wrong. The truth is, change doesn't always announce itself. Just because you don't notice the change doesn't mean it isn't happening. So in this video, I want to talk about it. Not the big dramatic signs you're better, but the subtle, often overlooked signs that your mental health is already improving. Yay. Even if you don't see it. Even if you don't think it is. We will start with the more day-to-day ones, then get to the deeper, to the little bit more subtle. Not happiness, not confidence, just movement and in the right direction. We start with the body. It's where change often shows up first. Number one, you're not sleeping well, but you're more rested. Your sleep might still be broken, and that's okay. You might still wake up during the night. But when you wake up, you're not as shattered as before. Rest occasionally feels like rest, if only for moments. That matters. Number two, you're not calm, but you're less on edge. You're not relaxed, you're not peaceful, but you're not constantly braced for impact or catastrophe either. Your shoulders drop without you realizing, your jaw unclenches, your breathing slows, sometimes at least. That's your nervous system learning safety again. Number three, you're not eating well, but you're eating more regularly. It's not perfect, not healthy, but you eat more consistently. You actually notice hunger now, and you don't forget food as often. That's your body's regulation returning quietly. And now we move on to the mind, the subtle shifts in how thoughts behave. Number four, you still have negative thoughts. You still doubt yourself, but there's a gap now, a moment where you don't immediately believe them. You notice the thought emerging instead of merging with it. That space is not small, and it's one of the biggest signs of improvement there is. So notice it. Number five, spirals still happen, but they don't last as long. Bad days still arrive. Old feelings still resurface, but you recover faster. You don't stay as stuck for as long. You return to your baseline sooner. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel very impressive. It is. Number six, things still feel hard, but less permanent. Less always, less never, less catastrophizing. The future doesn't feel completely doomed. Your thinking becomes more flexible, less absolute, more breathable. Next is behavior, where the healing becomes visible. Number 7, you're not motivated, but starting is easier. You don't always want to do things. You don't feel inspired. That's not what I'm saying. Starting feels less impossible. You don't have to negotiate with yourself for hours. And that shift is huge, even if it looks small. Number 8, you're not fearless, but you avoid things less. You still feel anxious, still uncomfortable, but you do things in spite of that fear. Instead of organizing your entire life around avoiding it. That's courage, even if it doesn't feel brave. Number 9, you're not high functioning, but you're more consistent. Not intensely, not productively, just consistently. You can keep a basic rhythm, get out of bed, have a shower, and that rhythm starts to support you instead of just draining you. And now the emotional core, where people often miss it. Number 10, you're not happy. You're just less hopeless. You're not optimistic. You're not excited about the future. But the future feels possible and it doesn't feel completely closed off anymore. There's at least the idea that things could change. Hope doesn't arrive loudly, it sneaks back in quietly. Number 11, you're not comfortable, but you tolerate discomfort better now. You don't need everything to stop feeling bad immediately. You can sit with things longer now. You don't panic as fast. That tolerance is resilience forming. Number 12, you're not relaxing freely, but when you do relax, it's with less guilt. You don't feel productive, but you don't punish yourself as much for stopping. Being alone with yourself and your thoughts becomes less threatening, more allowed. You're more capable of doing it. And finally, identity, one of the deepest layers. Number 13, you're not symptom free, but you finally don't see yourself as a lost cause. You still struggle, you still have symptoms, but you stop defining yourself by them. You see patterns, ebbs and flows instead of personal failure. That simple reframe changes everything. Number 14, you're not emotionless, but you respond instead of react. The emotion still comes, but you don't immediately act on it. There's a beat, a choice. That pause is not nothing. It's your nervous system relearning regulation. And number 15, you're not better, but being alive feels more manageable. You're not loving life, you're not inspired, but being here, existing, doesn't feel unbearable today. And sometimes that's enough. That's enough to be happy about. So if you're watching this and thinking, I'm not better yet, that might be true. but you still might be improving. And any progress, no matter how small, is still progress. Healing is never a finish line. It's not obvious and it's rarely dramatic. It's so much quieter than people expect, slower than we want. But getting better is easier to miss than we realize. If you noticed yourself in any of this, that doesn't mean you're done though. It just means something is already shifting. Yay. And that matters more than you think. My name is John. That was a much happier video than the last one. My name is John. You're welcome to be here, and you're more than welcome to stay here. Keep healing, keep trying. But it is true. Once you start to learn to notice the subtleties, the subtle things that are happening with yourself, in yourself, the change and progress becomes absolutely more possible. It's like the idea of taking the small wins. Do you know what I mean? And if you're not noticing the small wins, you're going to feel like you're never winning at all. And it's hard to motivate yourself to keep going. Do you know what I mean? So it's about learning to notice the small wins that are probably already happening. And if you can't see any, you're just not looking small enough. I went through a stage where getting out of bed was my small win. And I worked up to having a shower. So start as small as you want, but just notice the small wins. I love you. Have a good day.